You need some water? Here. Good to see you. No more. We're starting to see what it is. I'll do it right after we take the roll. Yeah. No, we can. She's here. We can go. No, we can go. Yeah. Yes.
Let's get it. I like that. No, I like the way you like doing it.
All right.
Thanks, bro.
That's fun. Thank you. That's it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. What?
I'm not even who holds the Richardson's here.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention him. Yeah. Yeah, he was here earlier. He came in. I recognize him too.
Here comes the judge. All right. Let's get the show going.
Yep. Thank you, Bruno.
I'd like to call this meeting to order of the 2019 reorganization meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee, and to also wish everyone a happy and healthy 2019 in the new year ahead. Thank you all so much for coming.
Troop 5, Boy Scouts of America, please present the colors. Will you please join me in saluting of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Ms. Adams? Here. Mr. Daffis?
Here.
Mr. DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. Lembrick?
Here.
Mr. McGehee?
Here.
Mr. McGehee, I'm going to read the public statements.
Please.
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2019 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2018, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk. Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7 provides that the governing body has a discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussion of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Adams? Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. I'd now like to invite Carrie Capone up to sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you sing by the dawn's early light? What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the
You may be seated. Thank you, Ms. Capone. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Before we have the invocation, I'd like to recognize a few people that are in the audience or were in the audience at one time. Our freeholder, Wayne Richardson, is here. And I want to recognize Assemblyman John McKeon, who was here briefly. He had to run off to another event in Springfield. I would now like to ask Valencia Norman, First Presbyterian and Trinity Church, to come forward for the invocation.
Gracious God, creator and sustainer of all, we come to you at the beginning of this new year, bringing all our hopes, our dreams, asking that as we begin this year together, that you will hold us accountable no more to just ourselves, but to each other. Bring your flames of renewal, inspiring us, so that what we plan today can be brought together through all our works. So we ask this as we continue to work together, as your people, as your voice in this community brought together for a great purpose.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Troop 5 Boy Scouts America, please post the colors. We will now have a proclamation read by Mr. Daffis.
Thank you, Frank. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And Happy New Year to all of you. We hope that we all enjoy continued health, have lots of happiness and peace in our community and throughout the communities across our nation and around the world. It is a Maplewood tradition that we bestow a theme to our annual reorganization meeting, and that we dedicate it to a group or organization that really carries out and embodies that theme. As some of you may recall, when I was elected last year or sworn in, the theme was equity and justice and unity and community, and we dedicated that to Soma Action and Soma Justice for their efforts in building community. This year, we decided to honor and acknowledge and celebrate the great youth in our community, our young activists, those who are emerging as our next leaders, as great, remarkable agents of change in our community. We've decided accordingly to dedicate this meeting to our very own Youth Advisory Committee and to Soma Action's Student Leadership Committee. I invite my colleagues and our youth from both committees to join me by the podium for the reading of the proclamation.
Dedication. Youth, agents of change, emerging leaders. Whereas the youth in our community have honorably demonstrated their commitment to civic engagement and social justice by heeding national calls to action and leading local organizing efforts on important issues such as gun violence, public safety, public health, mental health, sustainability, immigration, and voting rights. And whereas our community's great youth have been recognized for their civic engagement and activism by local and state level representatives. And whereas the Maplewood Township governing body, the Township Committee, continues to empower our local youth in their being agents of change and emerging as the next generation of community leaders, established the Youth Advisory Committee in June of 2018 for this purpose as a formal committee of the Township of Maplewood. And whereas the Youth Advisory Committee, in the short 6 months since its inception, has already significantly participated in the decision-making of the Maplewood Township Committee on its policies affecting or services related to pedestrian safety, public health, mental health, and sustainability. And whereas the Soma Action Student Leadership Committee, comprised of 31 members representing CHS, MMS, and SOMS, have received local, statewide, and national recognition for their advocacy, now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Township Committee assembled this first day of January 2019, that thanks and appreciation be extended to Maplewood Township's Youth Advisory Committee and to the South Orange Maplewood Action Student Leadership Committee. Congratulations. I'd like to yield the podium to our youth. Who would like to? Take a shot.
Hi, my name is Phoebe Hill, and I'm a freshman at Columbia High School. I'm a member of the Youth Advisory Committee and of the Student Committee. And I just wanted to tell you about what I'm doing and thank everyone here for the support that you've given us. We couldn't do it without adults who are willing to devote their time to help us and this is our ideas. Because you in our community have the power to change the way the things in the world are changing. And you guys are helping us come reality. So thank you so much to all the adults in this room who have been advisors to us and supported our dreams and our hopes for the past year of this after the event. Thank you.
Occupation of some action. How about a nice
As we look forward to a great new year, we need to also remember those who contributed to our civic life, whom we lost in 2018. Accordingly, Ms. Fritzen, please read the list of Maplewood citizens who were active in community life and who passed away in 2018.
Carolyn Nemitz, active in the PTA and a volunteer. William Noto, past Board of Adjustment member and chairman. Margot Mico, retired employee in the Maplewood Recreation Department. Carolyn English, charter member of the Maplewood Community Pool, participant in Maplewood Senior Citizen Club and programs. Marion Rowe, retired employee, Maplewood Police Department. Peter Robalotta, neighborhood leader, Midland Boulevard. Leon Wolowski, retired employee, Maplewood Recreation Department. Firefighter, retired, John Levicki, Maplewood Fire Department, 34 years. Barden Levy, longtime community volunteer, Recreation Advisory Committee member, and arts volunteer. Dr. Francis McQuaid, longtime Maplewood Democratic District Leader. Arthur Gartenlaub, Maplewood VFW Post 10120, past commander and longtime member. Antonio Massey, longtime member of Maplewood VFW Post 10120 and Maplewood Police Reserves. James Kuchmerich, Sr., Recreation Advisory Committee member. Saul Fisher, Maplewood Rent Leveling Board member. Mary Romano, Maplewood Senior Citizens Active Club member and leader.
Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. And now to lead us into our memorial prayer, I invite Rabbi Rachel Martyr from Congregation Bethel in South Orange to lead us into our memorial prayer. Thank you, Rabbi.
Blessed are the works of your hands. Blessed are hands that have touched life. Blessed are hands that have nurtured a child. Blessed are hands that have embraced with love and friendship. Blessed are hands that have planted new seeds. Blessed are hands that have cleaned, washed, mopped, and scrubbed. Blessed are hands that have held pain. Blessed are hands that have become knotted with age. Blessed are hands that are wrinkled and scarred from daily practice. Blessed are hands that hold the promise of the future. Blessed are the works of your hands. Today we remember all those who use their hands to strengthen our community and love the world here. We honor beloved community members who contribute their talents, their gifts, and hard work as activists, volunteers, and township employees. Today, as we stand on the cusp of a new year, we are filled with hope as we envision what we will do together and how we will continue the work of those who came before us. We renew our commitment to strengthen this community. And we pray that the contributions of those who have passed live on through us, and that we be inspired by their ideals and their vision. Life is unique and full of challenge, so we pray that what we built in this life outlives us. The psalmist in Psalm 90 prays, may we live our days in contentment. May our moments of joy surpass the times of struggle. May we taste the sweetness of each precious day. And may the work of our hands bring fulfillment.
Thank you, Rabbi Martyr. I'd like to invite soloist Dwight West and pianist David Easton up to the podium to lead us into our memorial hymn.
There you go. Okay. And honoring also the youth of Maplewood. So here's a song entitled For the Future Here's to Life. No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you got. I've had my share, drank my fill, even though I'm satisfied, I'm hungry still to see what's down another road, beyond the hill, and do it all again. So here's to life and every joy that it brings. Here's to life for dreamers and their dreams. Funny how time just flies, how love can go from warm hellos to sad goodbyes and leave you with the memories you've memorized to keep your winters warm. But there's no yes in yesterdays, and who knows what tomorrow brings or takes away. As long as I'm still in the game, I want to play for laughs, for life, for love. So here's to life and every joy that it brings. Here's to life for dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered, and all that's good get better. Here's to life, here's to love, and here's to you. May all your storms be weathered, and all that's good get better. Here's to life, here's to love, and here's to you.
Dwight West, everyone. And David Easton. I'd like to invite Bruno Lee on trumpet up to the podium.
It's now time in the meeting to administer the oath of office to the newly elected Township Committee member. Ms. Adams, would you please come forward to take the oath?
You're okay, sir.
I, Nancy Adams, solemnly swear that I will support the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith to faith and allegiance to the governments established in this state, in the United States, and the United States, and under the authority of the people, and under the authority of the people. That I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of as a member of the Maplewood Township Board, as a member of the Maplewood Township. December 31st, 2021. December 31st, 2021. According to the best of my ability. So, congratulations, Ms. Adams.
Okay, I hope you all can see me over this podium. I'm not as tall as my fellow Township Committee members. So, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I begin my remarks with my thank yous, most importantly to the voters of Maplewood. Thank you for voting me to a second term as a member of the Township Committee to continue the work we've begun and to tackle that not yet addressed. Your enthusiasm and turnout in the midterm election resulted in the highest number of votes garnered by a township committee member in more than a decade, those from me and Mr. Lundberg. That energy propelled Democrats to victory all the way up the ticket. I am grateful to and humbled by everyone who turned out to vote. We know that voting is the most important right we have as citizens in our republic, and the most important responsibility we have to assure our democracy remains strong. We know what can happen when voters don't turn out. We know what can happen when voters are disenfranchised, when voters are removed from the rolls and ballots are not counted. We require an active and engaged electorate to ensure that these irregularities will not continue. I thank the Maplewood Democratic Committee and the Democratic Party for your confidence in me by endorsing me as one of your candidates, which was a validation for my accomplishments the past 3 years. I thank all the district leaders for your help during the campaign. Thank you to MDC Vice Chair Garnett Hall for your friendship and unwavering support. Thank you to MDC Chair Ian Grodman for your advice and counsel, and as always, your support and friendship. I give my thanks to my best friend, my confidant, my husband, Sal Renda. Don't make me laugh, for supporting me in my desire to run for re-election. Sal knows how passionate I am about making a difference not only in the town we live in, but in our country. And while my passion often means weekend events, late nights, public scrutiny, sharing date nights with constituents, he supports me and makes me cry and gives me strength. Thank you. I congratulate my running mate, Greg Lembrick. Here we go, another 3 years. I look forward to continuing our work together on behalf of the residents of Maplewood. It's also been an honor to work together with my fellow members of the Township Committee, Vic, Frank, Dean. As a group, we have faced a number of challenges these past 3 years, and we have always worked together with the best interest of the town in our hearts. Although our approaches to solutions sometimes differ, the respect we show each other as we discuss and deliberate, the careful attention to detail with regard to serving all of our diverse citizens has been inspiring. So thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to our community. Prior to moving to Maplewood in 1989, I had not thought of myself as a civic volunteer or a local activist. I had opinions about policies and politics on local and national issues. I wrote lots of letters to the editor. I voted, but I had not been actively involved on a local level. As most women of my age, I was busy having babies, caring for my children, my family, and making ends meet. When I moved here, my youngest was 2 months old, and I was a parent volunteer at my daughter's 3rd grade class at Tuscan School and my 4-year-old's class at Prospect Preschool. It was in the public schools that I first learned how to get involved and to take action where I needed. I lived and still live on Harvard Avenue, and I felt that Springfield Avenue did not reflect the best aspects of our town. My next activist adventure was when I went door to door to organize the neighborhood to put pressure on the township leaders to address Springfield Avenue and its condition. Ultimately, as you know, forming College Hill Neighborhood Association and Springfield Avenue Partnership, those 2 experiences solidified my passion as a civic activist. My activism in Maplewood continued as I raised 5 children in town through our public schools and worked full-time as executive director in downtowns and municipalities across northern New Jersey. I share this for all the women and mothers out there who think they can't get involved or make a difference in their community. You can, and the sacrifices are worth it in the accomplishments for the community and in setting an important example for your children. As a member of the Township Committee, I have advocated for common sense solutions to issues as they arise and have fought hard for solutions to quality of life and environmental matters to protect our residents. My goal is to ensure the continued value and enjoyment of living in Maplewood. I have added a rare perspective to discussions at this dais. Few women have sat where I do today. I have utilized my personal and professional experiences in downtown revitalization and in municipal work, along with the perspective of life as a working woman, a mother, and for some years as a single mother, and as a person who has had to work hard to manage her resources well enough to afford the privilege of living in a town as wonderful as Maplewood. This perspective adds an important aspect to discussions and considerations in determining what we on the Township Committee should be acting on and how we can best serve our community. I had a look at my remarks from my first swearing in 3 years ago. I noted that I was a little nervous then, and rightly so, for I have learned that leadership comes at a cost, and that you can't please everyone all the time, as we know, but that leaders will lose some friendships in their effort to serve fairly. But leaders will gain new friendships by having opportunity to meet many new people through their service. I believe that I represent an important independent voice at the table. I will continue to be proudly outspoken, dedicated to thoughtful deliberations and decisions, to the consideration of all the facts available, and to utilize my professional and life experience to ensure that we make and implement our determinations with care. With almost 30 years community activism in Maplewood and advocating for causes that affect our town, I provide this body with an experienced and historical perspective to our discussions. I've shown that I'm not afraid to advocate for topics and issues that are important to our residents, even when they are not the most politically expedient choice. I admit that I am a passionate public servant, not a strategic politician, and I'm proud of that designation. I am not big on self-promotion, although it's necessary even when running for office. This speech is probably the most you will hear me talk about myself during my term. There is no time for politics and day-to-day governance of our community. I pledge to continue to work with my colleagues to protect your quality of life in Maplewood, to ensure that we have open, welcoming, and affirming community, to provide you with the highest quality of public services possible while containing costs, to ensure that you have safe neighborhoods and safer streets, to provide you with vibrant and dynamic business districts and clean, well-maintained parks and playgrounds. I pledge to ensure open and transparent governments and be a voice for you on state and national issues that affect Maplewood and the values we stand for. You can count on me to serve you honorably and honestly, to listen carefully, consider thoughtfully, and to fight loudly for you when necessary. So thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve. Happy New Year.
I'd like to invite Mr. Greg Lambert to come forward to take the oath of office. That's a trooper. Okay.
I, Greg Lambert,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will
that I will
support the Constitution
support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear
and that I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the governments established
to the governments established
in in this state
in this state
and the United States,
and the United States,
and under the authority of the people,
and under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Maplewood Township Committee Member
Maplewood Township Committee Member
through December 31st, 2021,
through December 31st, 2021,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you. Happy New Year. I'd like to begin by thanking our wonderful clerk, Liz Fritzen, and her team for organizing this incredible event, as always. Thanks as well to the Boy Scouts and all of the musical performers and religious leaders participating in this ceremony today. After first being sworn in to the Township Committee 3 years ago today, I am still honored and humbled by this opportunity to serve Maplewood as a member of the governing body, and I'm grateful for the trust and faith that this community continues to place in me. Thank you to my wife, Alex, who surprised me today by showing up despite recovering from very recent foot surgery, to our daughter, Caroline, and all of our family and friends for their support. Thank you to Ian Grodman and Garnett Hall and all of the members of the Maplewood Democratic Committee for your hard work during the campaign. Thanks as well to our campaign team, including our treasurer, Tom Carlson, Dave Pressel, Fred Profeta, David Humer, Amy Simon, and Barbara Heisler. Thanks also to all of the volunteers who passed out literature, made calls, knocked on doors, put campaign signs on your lawns, and persuaded and pestered your neighbors to get out the vote. Thank you to our great team of representatives in Trenton, Senator Dick Cody, and Assembly members John McKeon and Mila Jacey. Thank you also, and especially to my colleagues on the Township Committee. Frank, Vic, Nancy, Dean, it is an honor and a pleasure to work with such a dedicated team of leaders committed to serving and improving Maplewood. And thanks to all of our Township employees, those who are here today and those who are not, especially Sonia Viveros, Roger Desiderio, Liz Fritzen, Glenn Michalowski, Chief Duvall, Chief Dingelstedt, and all of our department heads and their teams for serving our town so well every day. Finally, thank you to the residents of Maplewood for not only coming out in November to re-elect Nancy and me, but turning out to vote in such overwhelming numbers for a midterm election. Much though Nancy and I would like to think the record-shattering turnout was due to enthusiasm for our re-election, we know that the message our residents wanted to send extends far beyond our town. In the 12 years I've lived here in Maplewood, we have always been an engaged and active community, but it has truly been inspiring to see the rise in activism and civic participation in the last 2 years. In addition to voting in record numbers this past year, our residents worked all over New Jersey and beyond to help campaigns and played a significant role in districts outside of our own. We took it to the next level and achieved incredible results. 2017 and 2018 were memorable years, including many things we might wish to forget. But we have also seen strong reminders of hope and humanity, particularly right here in Maplewood. This is an important moment for local government and an exciting time to be a part of it. Our federal government in Washington is not only figuratively broken, but quite literally shut down.
Even worse, America is suffering from a failure of education and community morals. On a near daily basis, we face assaults on our values, the principles we thought we all shared as Americans. Civil discourse, equality, decency. We see humanitarian crises turned into national security issues, public health emergencies treated as crimes, climate change dismissed as fake news, and racism treated as just another opinion. Many of us have the privilege to bemoan that America has changed, but some among us know all too well that it is not. The darker parts of our nation's soul merely have been given permission to come out of the shadows. It is up to us to punch holes in that darkness and to ensure that sunlight, which Justice Brandeis called our best disinfectant, still shines. We are in the midst of a tempest, but there is no one I would rather struggle through the storm with than my neighbors here in Maplewood and my colleagues on this township committee. Over the past 3 years that I've been a member of this committee, we have faced difficulties that have caused us to clearly realize that Maplewood is not immune to many of the problems impacting our larger society. I hope that we have emerged scarred but smarter, reminded that we cannot rest on our laurels or reputation, and that we must live our principles and not just proclaim them. As your elected officials, we may not always succeed, but I can promise you that we are struggling along with the rest of you, and we are always striving to make our community better. In 2019, we must continue the important work of getting our police force back to where it should be. The events of July 5th, 2016, and the issues laid out in the recent media reports about use of force have shown us that improvements are needed. But we have great partners in our police force, in our police leadership, our chief, our deputy chief, and our union, and all of the officers at all ranks who know that we're taking steps in the right direction and hard work remains to be done to rebuild public confidence in our township, reform our police department, and restore trust in our law enforcement. The road ahead may be hard, but it is crucial that it be done. We will continue to partner with the Board of Education in our school district on capital improvements to our school facilities and the rezoning of our schools. Our schools are in desperate need of an infrastructure overhaul, and we need to ensure that it's done right to make our schools the best they can be for the next generation and also keep Maplewood an attractive town for all types of families. We also need to address racial and economic segregation in our schools through rezoning. We can't just say that we're for diversity, integration, and equality. We need to walk the talk and back it up with our actions. I sincerely hope that 2019 is the year that Maplewood and South Orange are able to successfully merge our fire departments. By doing so, we can save costs in the short term and achieve even more savings in the long term, with no decline in services and no increase in response time for emergencies. We can also make an important breakthrough for shared services in our state, one of the few available avenues to bring about true property tax relief. We must also continue our work to create more affordable and senior housing in our town. Building on our landmark agreement with Fair Share Housing, our broader goal must be to provide places for our community's diversity, including generational diversity, to thrive. I will also make it a priority to expand and improve Maplewood's recreational facilities and our community pool. I hope this year we can move forward with the proposed new basketball court facility at DeHart Park, giving basketball players of all ages another place to play in our town. We are also developing a capital plan for our community pool, forming a long-term vision rather than just getting by year to year. I will also devote more effort to fundraising for our Pool Pals and Rec Scholarship programs to make our programs and facilities more accessible to everyone in our town. We will all continue our efforts to improve New Jersey Transit, which so many of our residents rely on each day to get to work and provide so much economic lifeblood to our region. We will also work hard towards tax relief at all levels. We will continue to push for the restoration of full deductibility for state and local taxes. We will keep up our fight for fair and equitable education funding based on current enrollment and needs, not outdated historic paradigms. We will also lobby our governor to put the interests of our state's municipalities above special interests and reinstate the 2% arbitration cap. It has proven to be a necessary tool to avoid runaway budgets and having to cut other township departments and programs. We cannot keep our spending in line with a 2% budget cap if our largest expenses are allowed to spiral out of control. We must also continue to take positions of moral leadership. On guns, healthcare, immigration, we must collectively resist the Trump agenda. We need to be vocal and, when warranted, defiant in defense of Maplewood and our progressive principles. We shall remain a welcoming community. We will stand up for our Haitian neighbors, our Latino neighbors, our African American neighbors, our LGBTQ neighbors. We will stand in solidarity with our fellow cities and towns in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty to declare that we still lift our lamps beside the golden door. Today we honor our Soma youth with a dedication and proclamation. I too want to take a moment to recognize them and all of our community groups of all ages that have worked hard over this past year to raise awareness of important issues and take action to protect our neighbors and preserve our values. Their efforts have made a difference. And as the father of an 8-year-old daughter, I know that our kids are watching. So on a personal level, thank you to the many youth in our towns who are serving as excellent role models to the next generation. Those of us up here know that it is not the governing body that makes Maplewood a great place to live. It is and always will be our people, our business owners, students, teachers, coaches, cultural and religious leaders, musicians, activists, and artists, those who organize our community events, those who donate their time, talents, and money to helping those less fortunate, our makers, our helpers, our dreamers. So I urge all Maplewoodians in 2019 to keep being good neighbors, active parents, positive role models, and informed, engaged citizens. Please keep teaching, keep learning, volunteering, organizing, standing up for our community's values, and speaking up for our town and everyone in it. If we do that, the state of our township will always be strong. Happy 2019 to all of you. Let's work together this year to shine the light on the good and the bad, to preserve our best and evolve and improve these works in progress, America, New Jersey, and Maplewood, that we proudly call home. Thank you.
Members of the Township Committee, I now call for nomination for Chair of the Township Committee for the year 2019.
I nominate Victor DeLuca.
Second. Are there any other nominations for the Chair of the Township Committee for the year 2019?
I move the nominations be closed.
I second the motion.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
I declare Victor DeLuca duly elected Chair of the Township Committee for the year 2019.
We have to go through this identity thing here by switching names. Oh, thank you, Liz. Now it's official. So Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
And thanks for attending today to help us kick off 2019. I want to thank my colleagues for electing me as mayor for one more year. We've worked well together and accomplished a great deal. I know we will continue to do so over the next 12 months by always putting the interests of our community first and foremost. So today I start my 20th year in office and my last year as mayor. So this is my final State of the Township speech, so buckle up because I have a lot to say. To begin, the state of the Township of Maplewood is outstanding. We have a stellar reputation in the region and across New Jersey. Our fundamentals are sound and families continue to choose Maplewood as a place to live and raise their children. Entrepreneurs and business owners are looking at spaces throughout town to open new stores and food establishments. And members of the LGBTQ community are attracted to Maplewood because of our commitment to being welcoming, diverse, and inclusive. Homes in our community are selling above asking prices and staying on the market 14% less than a year ago. The average home sale price of $615,000 is 2% higher than 2017. Rentals are also doing very well, and the new apartments have very few vacancies. To all of our credit, people want to move here. Unfortunately, not everyone can. Our hot real estate market is pricing out some buyers and renters and making it more difficult for folks, particularly our seniors, to stay in their homes. So to help our seniors, we worked with Mileage AC last year and the year before on an outreach initiative to ensure that our senior homeowners take advantage of state rebates and property tax relief programs. And we adopted a new ordinance permitting seniors to take into their homes 2 individual boarders or a couple. This shared housing program will allow seniors to bring in extra money to cover their housing costs and give them an opportunity for some more companionship. Our task now is to spread the word among our seniors and develop a mechanism to help them find prospective boarders. We also move forward with our affordable housing obligations. In November, we received judicial approval of our fair share and affordable housing plan, becoming the first municipality in Essex County to do so. It seems fitting that we accomplished this in 2018, which was the 50th anniversary of President Johnson's signing of the Fair Housing Act, which sought to eliminate housing discrimination and racial segregation in our nation. Our affordable housing plan requires developers to set aside 15% of new apartments for 30 years to house families meeting income guidelines. In addition, our housing rehabilitation program will provide $20,000 in forgivable loans to assist Maplewood households to make repairs to meet health and safety codes. And here's something new we're going to do. We're going to subsidize the purchase and rehabilitation of 2 existing foreclosed or vacant homes and sell each of them to an eligible family so we can get those back on the rolls and get an affordable family to be able to live here. So I see we have some of our police officers here. I'd like to take a moment to thank the women and men in our police department for the work that they do to keep us safe and secure in our homes and our community. Let's ask them to stand and give them a round of applause. I'm happy to report that major crimes in Maplewood are down nearly 8% from a year ago. I want to thank Chief Jimmy Duvall and Deputy Chief Al Sally for making a number of positive changes in the Maplewood Police Department, including creating a traffic bureau and a community policing unit. And last year, we established the Community Board on Police, one of the first of its kind in the state. Among the board's responsibilities are to help build a culture of transparency and accountability in the police department, suggest trainings and best practices, and work to ensure a relationship of respect between the police and community. I want to recognize Committeeman Lembrick and Daffis for making this board a reality and guiding its formation. And I want to thank the 6 citizen members who volunteered to sit on this very important board. And I see Erin Scherzer, the chair, is here. Thank you, Erin, for your leadership. I also want to give out a shout out to Deputy Mayor McGehee, who worked with the police officers to develop a mentoring program for our youth and facilitate the open gym nights at the high school. I'm not sure your basketball skills are there yet, but you're working on them. But most importantly, these critical programs, and Frank was really pushing this and working with the police, and there's so much enthusiasm from our police officers. These critical programs bring young people and the police together in a positive environment. But we definitely have more to do to rebuild trust between our police and our community. In November, New Jersey Advanced Media released the Force Report, an investigative report on the use of force by police across the state from 2012 to 2016. And of all the New Jersey local departments, sadly, Maplewood was ranked first in the use of force. 172 incidents of force on 1,549 reported arrests. Additionally, the report found that Black people in Maplewood were 4 times more likely to face force than white people. Now, the use of force by our police officers is an issue of great importance to the Township Committee and one that merits further review. So on Monday, January 14th at 7:30 at the Woodland, we'll sponsor a community forum on the Force Report. Township officials, police department representatives, members of our community board on police, and the representatives from the New Jersey Attorney General's office will join the public in discussing what we have learned from the Force Report and how it will influence our actions going forward. So please join us. This is a very important topic that we want to discuss, and we all want to come out of this moving forward. Speaking of moving, thank goodness we're a train town. Direct train service to and from New York City and Hoboken is a critical factor that people consider when deciding to move here. Unfortunately, New Jersey Transit has failed us. Years of shoddy management and disinvestment from former Governor Christie have eroded the rail agency. Governor Murphy has promised to restore New Jersey Transit and was able to meet a critical federal deadline to keep the trains running. And last year, members of the Township Committee engaged with New Jersey Transit officials, legislative representatives, and the governor's office to explain the importance of the train to Maplewood and our surrounding towns, and to lobby them to take short and long-term steps to make improvements. I'm having a Marco Rubio moment. Hold on, please. So here's some good news about the trains. Starting tomorrow, Wednesday, January 2nd, Maplewood and South Orange rail commuters will have another morning option to travel to New York City. New Jersey Transit is going to provide express bus service from the 2 train stations directly to the Port Authority bus terminal. There's going to be a bus at 7, 7:30, and 8. Commuters only have to show their tickets or passes, and there's no additional charge. So tomorrow, if they get to the station and there's a delay, they can jump on the bus. If they'd rather ride the bus instead of the train, they can do that too. So we'll continue to work with the governor's office to advocate for the replacement of the Portal Bridge, which is absolutely essential, and the construction of a 3rd tunnel under the Hudson River. We'll also focus on New Jersey Transit's customer communication practices so our commuters are informed sooner than they are now about delays and cancellations. And whether you're a commuter or not, the trains have a huge impact on our community. And we will continue to be strong advocates for making New Jersey a top rail agency once again. And speaking of impacts on our community, it is staggering how the Trump administration has denied climate change and rolled back environmental rules. A Harvard study estimates the 78 enacted or proposed rollbacks could lead to at least 80,000 extra deaths per decade and cause respiratory problems for more than 1 million people. Well, Maplewood has not backed off its commitment to promoting sustainability and protecting the environment. We believe the climate is changing and have signed on to efforts to preserve the Paris Climate Agreement, to promote solar energy, and to advance electric vehicles. We changed local laws to facilitate the installation of residential solar energy systems, and we set up the first public electric car charging station in the Woodland parking lot. Now, last year we discussed banning single-use plastic shopping bags here in town. And I want to thank Committeewoman Adams for raising this important issue. And we took a step back because we were told the legislature would move forward with a statewide ban. Unfortunately, we now know Trenton is not going to act anytime soon. So I can assure you that we will be revisiting a Maplewood plastic bag ban in early 2019. Maplewood is also the lead municipality for the Sustainable Essex Alliance, a multi-municipal cooperative that will purchase greener and cheaper electricity and promote energy efficiency for nearly 120,000 residents living in Maplewood, South Orange, Milburn, Glen Ridge, Montclair, and Verona. If we were one town, we would be the 5th largest municipality in New Jersey. And you'll hear a lot more about this groundbreaking program in the first half of the year. Now, back in June, Sonia Viveras, our former assistant administrator, was appointed as the Township Business Administrator. And she has brought new ideas and energy to the position and has followed the Township's charge to be bold with her recommendations. And one of her biggest ideas will go into effect today. Today, we've created 2 super departments, the Department of Community Services and the Department of Community Development. Community Services will bring together recreation, the pools, summer camps, cultural affairs, senior services, the health department, and the welfare office under one roof to foster synergy in the delivery of human services to the public. Community Development will put zoning, building, code enforcement, and economic development under one tent to improve coordination and communication. These super departments will break down institutional silos and allow us to better provide municipal services. Traffic concerns and pedestrian safety remain top priorities. The Police Department's Traffic Bureau undertook a number of initiatives to slow traffic and protect pedestrians. And we've worked with a consulting firm funded by the New Jersey Department of Transportation to develop a comprehensive safety plan for Prospect Street and Burnett Avenue, which we'll be implementing this year. And we also worked with Essex County, and we hope to be installing a new traffic light at Valley Street and Pearson Road in the first half of 2019. Now, 2 years ago in this very room, the Maplewood Village Alliance appeared before us at their budget meeting and asked the Township Committee to sponsor a visioning effort to bring together village stakeholders to discuss its future. We reached out to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, and it provided us with free professional planners from the Office of Local Planning Services. Last July, we had a spirited community visioning session at the library, and then nearly 1,000 people responded to our online survey about the village. Now, the planners have come up with a number of far-reaching recommendations, which will challenge our thinking about Maplewood Village and be the basis for serious discussion in the months ahead, and we ask you to join us. So I see the members of the fire department are back. Let's give them a round of applause. Why don't you stand up? Stand up. It's always like a gamble. We ought to do some betting up here. When the firefighters are in a room, how long are they going to stay here before they get a call? I don't know if anyone noticed, but in the very beginning of the meeting, they were all here and then they got a call and about half of them had to leave, run out the door. So thank you for serving us today and every day. So these firefighters, they provide critical services to our community, and we thank them for their commitment and professionalism. And as Mr. Lembrick said, and you may know, we are in negotiations with South Orange about consolidating our 2 fire departments. Our goal is to have one stronger, unified department that will better serve the residents and businesses in our 2 towns, and there'll be a cost savings involved. As we've designed it, the consolidated department will keep open all 3 firehouses with the same number of engines and trucks as we have today. But we have a lot more to negotiate, and we'll be reaching out to Governor Murphy's shared service specialists to help us work through personnel and legal issues. There were many other accomplishments in 2018. We heard about the Youth Advisory Committee, which we established in mid-year to help get young people more involved in government and the overall community and to fine-tune their leadership skills. Public art came to Maplewood. We worked with the Springfield Avenue Partnership on its mural program. And now there are eye-catching murals on the sides of 3 buildings and more to come this year. We've asked the Maplewood Arts Council to undertake a mural project for the 2 tunnels at the train station, and that campaign is about to get launched. We started replacing the sidewalk pavers in Maplewood Village, a $750,000 improvement project that will be completed in the spring. We also paved Maplewood Avenue. Thanks to Mr. Daffis, rainbow crosswalks were painted on Valley Street and Oakview Avenue. The crosswalks, which attained international status, they have. I'm not fooling here. You know, these aren't alternative facts. These are true. So these crosswalks are a visual demonstration of our being an inclusive community where everyone is welcome. The Memorial Park Conservancy completed a planting program at the Flagpole in Memorial Park. We agreed to construct a new basketball court in Dehart Park, and an elevator was installed in the woodland. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, it's the major step that we could take to start using the 3rd floor and make it accessible for even more music and cultural activities in that building. So what are our plans for 2019? The library for the 21st century is a top priority. We've been anxiously awaiting for the state to issue regulations for the $125 million library bond approved in 2017. And I can tell you, as soon as those rules are made official, we're going to drive right down to Trenton with our funding application, and then we're going to continue to lobby down there to get the dollars we need. The long-awaited Irvington Avenue redevelopment project is ready to start in the spring, according to Essex County officials. And as we're working on phase 1, we're going to get the ball rolling on phase 2, which includes a complete redesign of the Irvington Avenue and Parker Avenue intersections. We'll continue to work with new businesses that are opening up in town, including Luna Stella Bar and Restaurant, a noodle shop and co-working space in Maplewood Village, a redesigned O'Reilly's Tavern on Milburn Avenue, coffee, bagels, and other food shops on Springfield Avenue, and a craft brewery in our industrial area. I knew that would get somebody to clap for that. We'll join with the school board, and I see we have some school board members here. I want to thank you for coming out. Elizabeth, Anne Marie, and Shannon is here somewhere. Thank you all for coming out. So we're going to join with the school board as it undertakes a critical long-range facilities and K-5 expansion plan. Our students deserve the best. And if we're going to continue to attract people to live in Maplewood and South Orange, we need to have safe and modern school facilities. This is an investment in the next generation of leaders and in the continued viability of our 2 communities. Now, the next one is a year off, but absolutely critical, the 2020 census. We're going to get ready for it this year. Our hard work in 2010 resulted in a final count of just 1 less person than the 2000 census. And the census is about funding we get, it's about reapportionment into what district we're going to be as far as our political future for the next 10 years. Now, our job is going to be even more difficult this time around because of a decision in Washington to include a citizenship question of all households. The first time they're going to be asking that question about citizenship since 1950. Now, a legal case is winding its way through federal court to determine if this question is justified or politically motivated. No matter what, we will gear up for 2020 and help our residents navigate the census process. So finally, there's cannabis, marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it. So in early 2019, it's expected that the governor and the legislature will agree on a path forward to legalize the adult use of cannabis and expand its medical use. We've spoken to a number of firms looking to either distribute, process, or grow cannabis here in Maplewood. We'll move forward with these development opportunities if it makes sense and if we can craft zoning and operational conditions that do not negatively affect our residents. So stay tuned on this one. So we have a big 2019 agenda, and the Township Committee will be very busy. Nancy's going to release a couple more date nights. But we'll be counting on the steady leadership of our executive team of Sonia Viveros, our administrator, Roger Desiderio, our attorney, and Liz Fritzen, our clerk. Let's give them a round of applause for all they do. And we also want to recognize the contributions of all our employees who serve the people of Maplewood in a professional manner. So will all our employees stand up, please? Come on. As Mr. Lembrick said, we move this town forward because of the volunteerism and the enthusiasm and activism of our residents. So if you want to get involved, there's an opportunity for you to do so as a volunteer. Let us know of your interests and how you'd like to make a positive difference in our community. In conclusion, I'm excited about the future of Maplewood, and I hope you are too. Happy New Year, and thank you very much. Yes. Okay. So we have only about another hour and a half worth of business to do. So we're going to try to do that in about 20 minutes, but I want to recognize some former members of the Township Committee who sat up here. We have former Mayor Jerry Ryan. Former Mayor Fred Buffetta. We have three former vice mayors, Noel Siegel, Ian Rodman, Kathy Leventhal. I think you have a quorum right over in that corner there. We have former Township Committeeman and former Municipal Court Judge Ed Barone. Thank you for coming. And former Township Committeeman and the first Democrat got to get elected to the Township Committee, Mike Nasico. And I mentioned Elizabeth Baker, Anne Marie Maney, and Shannon Cuttle, Board of Ed-elect is here. Thank you very much for coming out. And we have our new judge who starts today, Clyde Otis. And our former judge who told me earlier that you always call them honorable even when they're out of office, the Honorable Stan Barron. Okay. So members of the Township Committee, I now call for the nomination of Deputy Chair of the Township Committee for the year 2019.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate Frank McGehee. Second.
I move the nominations be closed.
And I'll second that motion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. We have a resolution 1-19, Mr. Lembrick.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, does Ms. Fritzen need to read it first? Read the title. Okay.
I'm right now blinded.
Yeah, she can't see.
But that's okay.
It's a resolution adopting the bylaws of the Township of Maplewood.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move adoption of Resolution 1-19.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. We have a number of appointments which I'll read. Our Township Administrator, Sonia Viveros, Assistant Township Administrator, Glenn Mikulowski, sorry, I practiced that and didn't do very well. Township Attorney, Roger Desiderio, Chief Financial Officer, Joseph Kaloje, Certified Tax Collector. Now, we do this as a shared service with South Orange, so that's who we will be appointing. Public Defender, Dennis Cleary, Public Defender, Jermaine Mercer, Plumbing Subcode Official, Raymond Keeley, Electrical Subcode Official, Stanley Fagerty, Court Administrator, Ryan Bancroft, Registrar of Vital Statistics, Sonia Harrison, Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics, Elizabeth J. Fritzen, Director of Community Services, Melissa Mancuso, Director of Community Development, Annette De Palma, Tax Searcher, Joseph Kaloje, Custodian of Township Records, Elizabeth Fritzen, Deputy Custodian of Township Records, Chief Jimmy Duval, Deputy Custodian of Township Records, Chief Michael Dinglestat, Certifying Agent, Pension Funds, Joseph Kaloje, Fire Official, Chief Michael Dinglestat, American Disability Act Coordinator, Leonard Mendola, Township Engineer, Paul Kittner, Construction Code Official, Leonard Mendola, Health Officer, Robert Rowe, Board of Health for the next 3 years, Nancy Adams, Greg Limbrick, Office of Emergency Management, Deputy Coordinator, Chief Jimmy Duval, Office of Emergency Management, Deputy Coordinator, Chief Michael Dinglestat, Director of Public Works, C. Calvin Bell, and Qualified Purchasing Agent, Sonia Viveros. Is there a motion to confirm the appointments?
There is, Mr. Mayor. I move that the appointments submitted be confirmed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. We have a resolution appointing a municipal prosecutor and assistant municipal prosecutor, Resolution 2-19.
Yes, Mayor. Appointing municipal prosecutor Annette De Palma and assistant municipal prosecutor Gracia Matulis.
Mr. Lambert?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move adoption of Resolution 2-19.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. We have a Resolution 3-19.
Yes, Mayor, that's a resolution adding Tap into Soma and Village Green as electronic news sources to which notices and other matters are to be provided under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Mr. Daffis, can we get a motion?
Yes, Mayor. I move the adoption of Resolution 319.
Second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Members of the Township Committee, I now call for the nominations for the Township of Maplewood representative to the joint meeting of Essex and Union Counties for the year 2019.
Since he's chair of the joint meeting, I nominate Victor DeLuca.
I second.
I move that nominations be closed.
I'll second the motion.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Members of the Township Committee, it is necessary at this time to elect 3 members and 1 alternate to represent the Township on the Board of School Estimate for the School District of South Orange and Maplewood in accordance with Chapter 232 of the laws of 1953. I now call for nominations.
Mayor, I nominate Victor DeLuca, Greg Lembrick, and Frank McGee to represent the township on the Board of School Estimates with Dean Daffis as an alternate on the Board of School Estimates.
I second that motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move the nominations be closed.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Can we get a motion, Mr. McGee, on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move the consent agenda.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee-He?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, and we are introducing a new ordinance today.
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 2937-19 is an ordinance amending certain fees for the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs. This ordinance will change the fees for Kids Camp for 2019.
Mr. McGee, can we get a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move this passage of this ordinance on its first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on January 15th.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. This is the portion of the meeting in which we invite anyone from the public to come up and address the Township Committee. Is there anyone who would like to do so?
First day of retirement.
My name is Stan Barron, and I've been a resident of Maplewood for just about 36 years. It's been a pleasure. In the last 21 years, I've had the honor and privilege of serving as a municipal judge in Maplewood. Now, when I was here last month, the township committee was gracious enough to commend me. I thanked the members of the township committee, the president members, and the former members for their support. And I thank the staff for their support. And after that, I was immediately reminded and maybe criticized that I had not thanked the most important person. So I am here to correct the record, supplement the record, by thanking my wife, Frances. Yes. And for all the support and assistance, putting up with calls from the police department at 3 o'clock in the morning. And this message was always self-important. We're not going anywhere. We're going to keep living in Maplewood. I'm going to on Maplewood. I'd like to congratulate Judge Otis on. Now, as municipal judge, as a judge, my freedom was very restricted. I was constrained from any participation in politics or anything relating to politics or any activity or even expressing myself publicly. Okay, I agree. That record is very eloquent on the problems this country faces. I don't know. Say that as a patriot, I will find it my duty to participate in the political life of the country and to express myself this time of crisis. I see at the center of the crisis the current occupant of the highest political office in this country, who I find not only unsuitable, seemingly incompetent, but at times irrational, maybe insane, maybe evil, I see my creativity, those like justice and liberty and Constitution. Always.
Thank you.
Ryan, pull that mic over.
This one?
Yes, please.
Hi. It's hard to follow someone so eloquent, especially when I agree with everything that he said. Jerry Ryan, 431 Lennox Place. I just briefly wanted to congratulate Mr. Lembrick and Ms. Adams on the re-election, to congratulate all of you as you begin this new year, and to thank you all for your service. But there's also a milestone today that I didn't want to pass without remarking. Mr. DeLuca pointed out that he's beginning his 20th year of service on the Township Committee this year. This means that he has, in this moment, passed me as the longest-serving Democrat in the history of the Township Committee, and is now, along with all of his other accomplishments, the oldest and longest-serving Democrat on the committee. So, Vic, I congratulate you on your achievement.
For being old.
For being old.
Thank you.
As somebody who's getting old himself, you have to admit it beats the alternative.
Yes.
So congratulations to all of you, and again, thank you for your service. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Oops.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Christensen, 304 Elmwood Avenue. I'd like to thank Mayor DeLuca and members of the Township Committee. I speak on behalf of the Maplewood Rotary. And we want to thank the committee for its continued support. This year, with the support of Boy Scouts and dozens of volunteers, after over 3, close to 4 decades of selling trees at the Maplewood Community Pool, we had a record banner year and sold over 600 trees in less than 2 weeks. And this is because of the incredible support we get from the residents of Maplewood. And the Maplewood Rotary is very thankful. Those of you who are interested in some extended community service, the club is always welcoming new members, and your first meal is always on us. Again, thank you, and
Thank you.
hopefully we do another 30 years of selling trees.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Anyone else want to address the Township Committee?
We have one other person coming.
I've been a resident of Maplewood now for maybe 24 years. I was born and raised in Newark, and as a kid, I played basketball in Newark. And I would come to Maplewood Park and play in the 70s and late 60s. And it gave us black kids an opportunity to play against some of the better white kids of Essex County. The basketball court now up here has half-moon baskets, which is not the basket that kids like to play on. And I understand that you're going to put a basketball court in D-Hart. If it's not half-moon, especially if it's fiberglass or a square backboard, that's going to attract better ball players from outside of Maplewood. So I would think it would be a good solution to have someone organize that basketball court with some leagues to keep it running properly so there's no injuries or you don't get too many, not just negative people coming in, drinking and smoking on your court and doing things that that you don't want to see. So I suggest possibly that when it comes, that it's more organized and have someone. When I came as a kid, we always had recreational people who were phys ed majors in school. They would run the playgrounds. We had leagues, we had hardball leagues, softball leagues, and it seems to have stopped. I'm a phys ed major, and recreation is not what it used to be. We had home economics, we don't have that anymore. Also, the arts and the music is not in schools like it was coming up when I was a kid. But this new playground, well, basketball court, I think is a good idea, but be cautious of having it run properly.
Thank you.
Mr. West.
Mr. West. Mr. West.
Mr. West. Mr. West, I just wanted to address one of your concerns. We've talked about all that in this, and just to let you know, it'll be a regulation court designed to be 2 junior-sized courts and 1 full regulation court with paint, so that we can program it more regularly, and also so that it's a court that will give proper practice to those who, unlike me, would have the talent to go elsewhere with that. And also, I just want to commend you on your fabulous performance earlier. Really like.
He not only sings, but he and I played together on the Over 35 Basketball League, and we were the dynamic duo winning a couple of those leagues. But who's talking about that, you know? So we're going to invite you back up, Mr. West, along with Carrie Capone and Bruno Lee, to lead us in God Bless America. So if you could all just stand. Carrie, that's not working. If you want to. Whenever you're ready. And if we could have Reverend Norman from the First Presbyterian Trinity Church in South Orange, who's also a member of the Maplewood Clergy Alliance, the Maplewood Police Chaplain, and a Maplewood resident, to give us our benediction.
Friends, here's to 2019. May all your storms be weathered. May all that's good be better. Here's to life. Here's to dreams and dreamers. To young citizens inspired to action, patriots courageous to bring light to darkness, residents proud to walk our talk, invested in all of our diversity, for families of all kinds, for those who are vocal, willing to step out and become motivators for our children, to our township leaders and departments of police, fire, emergency management, township administration. Did you ever know that you're our heroes? So let us go into this year with a shared vision for our future together. Let us go forth in this resolve and in this peace. Happy New Year.
Would Troop 5, Boy Scouts of America, please retire the colors?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending today. Happy New Year. We look forward to a great 2019. Please stick around. We have food out there. This meeting is adjourned.